faithfully delivering value and interpreting amazing books from around the world. Hello, this is Sally's Book Talk. Today we're interpreting the book The Third Chimpanzee for you. The author of this book is Jared Diamond, a renowned American anthropologist, also a member of both the American Academy of Arts and Sciences and the National Academy of Sciences. His other popular science work is Guns, Germs, and Steel. You might have heard that it won the 1998 Pulitzer Prize and the Royal Society Science Books Prize. The book we're discussing today, The Third Chimpanzee, was published in 1991 and was his first work to win the Royal Society Science Books Prize. If you want to understand the history of human evolution and how human societies operate, Diamond's work is definitely not to be missed. The Third Chimpanzee has become an essential reference book for many university anthropology courses. The title of this book reveals its theme: humans are just the third chimpanzee. In terms of animal taxonomy, this claim isn't new. As early as 1863, zoologist Thomas Huxley stated that human anatomy is actually very similar to apes. Modern genetic research has proven this view. Humans and chimpanzees share 98.4% identical gene sequences. But Diamond's difference from Huxley is that he didn't stop at anatomy or genetics. Instead, he looked at human-chimpanzee relations from an evolutionary angle, arguing humans evolved from chimps, and expanded on aspects like language, art, and agriculture. Ultimately, it proves beyond doubt that humans are really another kind of chimpanzee. If we count bonobos, humans can only be considered the third chimpanzee. We'll focus on the author's three arguments, exploring human-chimpanzee connections through language, art, and agriculture, and then discuss how to understand phenomena like human massacres and environmental destruction. Before tackling these three issues, let's talk about human origins. This is directly linked to chimpanzees, as humans have always maintained an inherent continuity with other animals in evolution. Over 8 million years ago, humans and chimpanzees shared a common ancestor. But around 7 million years ago, due to the Ice Age, much water got locked in glaciers, causing droughts and widespread retreat of African jungles. Humans began leaving the jungles and evolved separately from chimpanzees. Several crucial changes followed, causing humans and chimpanzees to diverge completely. The first change occurred over 4 million years ago, when human ancestors began walking upright, the most fundamental trait distinguishing them from other animals. At that time, chimpanzees remained in the tropical jungles. The second change happened over 3 million years ago, when human ancestors diverged, with one relatively slender branch named Homo habilis by scientists. Homo habilis developed smaller teeth and larger brain capacity, exhibiting basic modern human characteristics. But the truly pivotal change came over 2 million years ago, when humans learned to make and use stone tools, entering the Stone Age and vastly improving their ability to harness natural resources. Although bonobos and chimpanzees also use stone tools, they don't rely on them as heavily as humans do. All three major changes occurred in Africa, and over 1 million years ago, Homo erectus began migrating out of Africa. In 1891, Dutch archaeologist Eugène de Boy discovered Homo erectus fossils in Java. Subsequently, archaeologists found Homo erectus fossils across Eurasia, with stone tools showing identical distribution patterns. About 500,000 years ago, Homo sapiens emerged with larger brains and rounder skulls, key modern human traits. This is referred to as anatomical modernity. Over 40,000 years ago, during the last Ice Age's end, Homo sapiens suddenly made a monumental leap. Cro-Magnons appeared, evolving from early Homo sapiens, and nearly indistinguishable from modern humans. Sprayed with perfume and dressed in suits, they blend seamlessly walking down Paris streets. They became modern in both appearance and behavior, hence called behaviorally modern humans. They initiated modern humanity's world conquering journey. So, how did Cro Magnons possess the capability to conquer the world? First, they demonstrated advanced tool-making skills, providing powerful weapons for conquest. They abandoned crude stone tools for refined craftsmanship, weaving fishing nets and setting traps, granting strong technical superiority for global expansion. Their Australia landing 40,000 years ago proves boat mastery. Siberia penetration 20,000 years ago shows clothing sewing and fur insulation skills. Using Siberia as a springboard, they entered Alaska, landed in the Americas, and opened up the last continent as their settlement. Second, Cro-Magnons developed complex language abilities, greatly enhancing communication efficiency and cooperative hunting. They frequently hunted large animals like bison and wild horses. Complex language fostered abstract thinking, enabling Cro-Magnons to demonstrate brilliant artistic creativity, initiate the agricultural revolution, build empires, wage wars, and greedily exploit natural resources within mere tens of thousands of years. Each aspect seemed uniquely human. In reality, whether language, art, or agriculture, they're all just animal behaviors. These are merely extensions of animal behaviors in humans. Nyman argues humans haven't transcended animalistic constraints in these three aspects. Humans are simply the third chimpanzee. To prove his argument, Diamond developed a complex rationale. First, let's examine language's evolutionary logic. Biologically, human language evolved from animal call systems. This evolution occurred in roughly two stages. The first stage was vocabulary acquisition, studied through African vervet monkeys' survival critical call systems. Vervet's main predator is eagles. Their alarms must be precise. False alerts waste foraging time and weaken competitiveness. To communicate accurately, vervets developed complex calls, distinguishing predators like eagles above from snakes below. A mistake leaves no time for apologies. This call system equates to humans mastering basic words, language's first evolutionary stage. The second stage was grammar mastery, the key differentiator between human language and animal calls. Despite rich vocabulary, vervets clearly lack grammar. For vervets, I bite dog and dog bites me convey similar meaning. But for humans, they express entirely different events. Animals lack grammar, and language leaves no fossils. So how do we study grammar formation? Scientists observed patterns in how modern languages develop, like when Spanish colonists needed new communication methods with indigenous peoples in the Americas. People speak their mother tongue within their own communities, but use pidgin for cross-cultural communication. British colonization created Pidgin English in India, similar to China's experience. In Shanghainese, gossip means casual chat, borrowed from English. Compared to mature languages, Pidgin is crude with limited vocabulary and grammar. Basically, you say whatever gets the meaning across, however roughly. Pidgin resembles vervet monkeys' call systems. When people abandon native tongues for Pidgin as their mother tongue, it rapidly evolves into a full language called Creole. So, dozens of Creoles have naturally formed worldwide. Their systems vary, yet share astonishing underlying consistency. For example, most Creoles use subject-verb-object order, like Chinese subject-predicate-object structure. This consistency reveals clues about language evolution. Linguist Derek Bickerton argued Creole's grammatical similarities prove language evolution is genetically controlled, an innate ability. In Creole formation, babbling children play crucial roles, creating grammar organically based on need, not by borrowing from other grammars. With no exposure to other grammars, this creative ability must stem from innate instinct, genetically determined. Hence, similar grammar repeatedly emerges across Creoles. Analyzing language evolution shows it's humanity's most unique trait, separating us from animals. Yet no unbridgeable gap exists between animal communication and human language. We can find the precursor of human language in the animal kingdom. After covering language, let's move on to art. Among humanity's unique cultural traits, art is a noble quality often praised, seeming like the clearest boundary between humans and animals. But Diamond argues that art, like language, is still a result of animal evolution. Many animals display amazing artistic abilities with varied talents. For instance, some birds sing, and the nightingale is a classic example. Um, in the West, nightingales are even viewed as singing spirits, and the dance of birds of paradise can mesmerize dancers. Bowerbirds can even build stunning nests. Orangutans and chimpanzees have both shown remarkable painting skills, even capable of holding art exhibitions in London. All these phenomena suggest there seems to be no unbridgeable gap between humans and animals in artistic talent. Some oppose this view, arguing that human art has no practical use, and art styles vary wildly, so it must be purely cultural and not genetic. This implies art is uniquely human, unmatched by other animals, but Diamond refutes these points. First, art isn't without practicality. It's a tangible tool for attracting mates. In this sense, humans and animals have no fundamental difference. Animals display art mainly to attract mates. Skylarks only sing during mating season. Similarly, birds of paradise only dance before females. Bowerbirds' painstakingly built nests aren't for living in, they seem useless except for attracting mates. Human art serves the same purpose. Singing, dancing, and poetry are great weapons for attracting mates, so artists often have many sexual opportunities, as it signals talent, wealth, or both. That's why art often boosts social status, showing off personal abilities and wealth. Cro-Magnons adorn themselves with bracelets, pendants, and pigments. Today, New Guinea natives still use feathers and furs for decoration, hang large shells on homes, and even trade art for wives. In modern society, exquisite jewelry, music, and paintings have emerged. Some artworks are priceless, symbolizing vast resources. That's why artists can earn a living through their art. To attract mates through art, animals need basic aesthetic capabilities. Like humans, bowerbirds know which colors are vibrant and which patterns are beautiful. Evidence of aesthetic sense. Extensive observations show animals have their own aesthetics, different but relatable, explaining why we adore small animals. This reflects shared aesthetic sensibilities. As for artistic styles, varied regional preferences aren't uniquely human. Animals show similar diversity. Take bowerbirds again as an example. Regional bowerbirds build distinct nests, walled pathways, box-like structures, or even chewing colored leaves to paint them. Different artistic preferences result from learning, not genetics. Human art stands out merely because tool use frees our time for creation. Other animals prioritize survival. The artistic gap between humans and animals is quantitative, not qualitative. Thus, humanity's sophisticated art shows clear behavioral continuity. We can't escape the third chimpanzee label. If neither language nor art cleanly separate humans from animals, what about agriculture? Diamond responds, agriculture does separate humans, though. Animal precedents exist. For example, some ants farm aphids like humans keep cows, cultivate fungi like wheat farming, and even weed their crops. Human agriculture, like ants, is simply a social activity for efficient nutrition. Beyond social insects like ants, no other animals, not even chimpanzees, possess basic farming capabilities. Therefore, agriculture should be humanity's defining cultural trait. But Diamond's reasoning takes a fascinating turn. Ironically, inventing unique farming methods further reveals humanity's third chimpanzee essence. Numerous facts prove humans aren't suited for agriculture, but thrive in hunting and gathering. Hunting and gathering is the quintessential animal lifestyle. Chimpanzees exemplify this, constantly gathering fruits and occasionally hunting monkeys for protein. So why are humans ill-adapted to agriculture? Only about 10,000 years ago did humans shift from foraging to farming. Early agriculture faced setbacks, even reverting to foraging at times, proving it's not a natural progression. Agriculture's unsuitability shows in its side effects. Ancient farmers' bones reveal worse health than hunter gatherers. Average height dropped over 10 centimeters. Cavities soared from under 1 to nearly 7 per person. Scurvy and tuberculosis surged. Farming starchy monoculture lacked the dietary diversity of foraging, causing malnutrition. Natural disasters could trigger devastating famines. Moreover, dense agricultural populations fueled infectious disease outbreaks. Agriculture's gravest side effect was private property, sparking class divisions and rigid gender rules. Global men farm, women weave, norms restricted female agency, entrenched inequality, established patriarchy, enabled centralized states, and made large-scale warfare feasible. In this sense, we're all victims of agricultural civilization. Agriculture's apparent glory is just a random mix of blessings and curses. Thus, agriculture wasn't natural evolution, but a last resort strategy. Humanity's true fit is hunting and gathering, our longest, most successful adaptation. We only invented agriculture relatively recently. Fundamentally, humans and chimpanzees share this agricultural incompatibility. Thus far, we've analyzed human language, art, and agriculture. These traits seem to distinguish humans from animals, but actually, they just prove humans are the third chimpanzee. This viewpoint, beyond cultural traits, chimpanzees' social traits are also inherited in humans, with the most terrifying manifestation being massacre and war. Previously, people thought chimpanzees were peace-loving animals, but careful observation revealed that chimpanzee groups often engage in genocidal massacres to compete for food sources and secure mating opportunities. Mm. Human slaughter behavior is directly inherited from chimpanzees and has surpassed it. It's this innate slaughter impulse combined with cultural abilities like language that makes humans the most fearsome conquerors on Earth. Human expansion aims for food and resources. It's not just occupying unclaimed land. Often it involves displacing indigenous peoples, driving humans to be butchers in the animal kingdom while becoming the most widespread mammals. Even lions, the strongest killers, never reached Australia or Pacific Islands during their peak. Yet humans are nearly everywhere, now even in space with unmatched expansion speed at a shocking cost. Human expansion violently erases cultural differences. Countless primitive tribes and languages are replaced by invaders, and even isolated tribes aren't spared. The most typical example is the expansion of the Indo-European language family. Languages across Europe like English, Russian, German, and Italian almost all belong to it. About half the world's population speaks an Indo-European language, and many other languages have been replaced by it. Why did such a strange pattern emerge? Languages don't spread on their own, they expand only through human power. And humans' most primitive way of expansion is invasion and slaughter. That expansion of the Indo-European language family is a bloody, long-term process of massacre. This process began 8,000 years ago and continues to this day. Take the extinction of Tasmanian islanders as an example. Before European invaders arrived, over 5,000 islanders lived on Tasmania, among the world's most primitive tribes, living independently. For over 10,000 years, they were completely isolated from the Australian mainland. After Europeans arrived in 1800, the Tasmanian islanders were wiped out within decades. By 1869, the last male islander died, his body taxidermied like an animal specimen. In 1876, the last woman died too. Her body was exhumed and displayed in a museum until finally cremated in 1976. The Tasmanian islanders' fate was just one microcosm of European expansion. More terrifyingly, this wasn't uniquely European brutality, but a resurgence of chimpanzee social behavior rooted in humanity's genetic animal nature. Unlike chimpanzee massacres, human slaughter operates on larger scales with higher efficiency. The slaughter instinct forced humans into communal living, as only groups could maximize safety. Communal life also provided evolution's perfect stage for human socialization. Mass slaughter is humanity's most horrifying act in civilization's march, but not the only one. Another terrifying behavior is environmental destruction. From the moment humans left Africa, they've been Earth's primary ecological destroyers. This process began tens of thousands of years ago and never ceased. Overhunting, habitat destruction, and invasive species have accelerated extinction rates at least 200 times beyond natural levels. And by mid-21st century, roughly half of all species may be extinct or endangered. In many ways, humanity depends on other species for survival. Plants absorb CO2, produce oxygen, and provide food, lumber, and paper. Thus, environmental damage will cause irreversible ecological collapse, potentially deadlier than nuclear war, leading to human extinction. Human environmental destruction also has animal precedents. When animal groups evade predators or parasites, they expand uncontrollably until destroying resources and facing extinction. In 1944, 29 reindeer were brought to St. Matthew Island in the Bering Sea. Within a decade, they multiplied to over 6,000, but island vegetation couldn't regrow fast enough. After one harsh winter, only 41 females and one infertile male remained, amid island-wide reindeer corpses. This group is doomed to extinction. This scenario applies perfectly to humanity, because humans now have unprecedented power to kill animals and wreck the environment. That's this book's perspective on human evolution. Millions of years ago, humans evolved from chimps, developing civilization's proud hallmarks: language, art, and agriculture. The language has animal precursors, and art isn't unique to humans. Agriculture's health and social problems prove humans aren't suited for farming. We're better adapted to hunting and gathering, like chimps. Plus, humans inherited two terrifying traits from chimps: the potential for genocide against outsiders and accelerating environmental destruction that could lead us to ruin. So, can humanity solve the ecological crisis? Diamond's optimistic about our capability. But the real question is, are we willing to? Diamond's pessimistic. He just hopes we learn from history. Only when more people recognize the crisis can it truly be solved. Then humanity might have a brighter future than the other two chimp species. All right, that concludes our interpretation of the third chimpanzee. The reading notes are below the audio.